Quite possibly. And we are already into picks and bans. We didn't even get to do the entries for the players. So here's the surprise for you guys. Linderong and Songwon are in the game for Afreeca. Neither of these guys have played a professional match. Linderong has recently swapped from Mickey's mid lane substitute to being Ixu's top lane substitute. Songwon has been hovering in the top 50 of the Korean ladder for quite some time. Played a lot of Rek'Sai and particularly Elise recently in solo queue. But this is going to be their debut, and they're doing it against a pretty strong opponent in Samsung.
Yeah, it's a little interesting to see that they wanted to pull this out against Samsung rather than, when they had played Longju before in the first game. So interesting decision. We'll see if this is going to pay off for them. But first lock, of course, is going to be that Elise, as Rek'Sai, Kindred, and Nidalee are all taken off the board.
And nearly his entire front page of his solo queue right now is just Elise, Elise, Elise. So really prioritizing, trying to make this rookie player comfortable. I also like the Victor and Azir bans against Crown. Certainly Mickey has played some of those champions in the past, but they're not his big comfort picks. He did actually show up on a Fizz in the series that we saw them play against Longju.
That's very true.
But Twisted Fate going to be, I think, a little bit more of a premium right now. Now, Crown does have a variety of picks that he can go to. The Varus is still up. And not to mention that in the past, we've seen some great Cassiopeia games, some great Fizz games from him, too.
It's very true. Cassiopeia going to be a little bit different with...
Very different,
with that W these days. You can see, though, the hover coming through over the Nami. We did see this picked in Game 1 for Samsung last time, and Wraith played it quite well. And they're just going to go ahead and revisit that one and also lock in the Echo, which I think we can safely assume is going to be top lane. No jungle Echo for Ambition, methinks.
It's okay. We can still maybe get that mid lane Echo going, too, depending on how they want to play it. But you're right, most likely going to be a top laner. Now for Crown, the early setup here does look like it may be another Varus game. They're starting to get some nice disengage with the Nami in, so that's certainly a possibility. Afreeca could pick for more hard engage here as a result because they've gone for a jungler with a lot of gank pressure in the early game. But notably, Ambition has been left Graves. He did not play Graves. He played Nidalee and Rek'Sai in their last series, but he was absolutely excellent on Graves in the spring season.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a little bit interesting that no one has really been touching Graves these days, and we're just kind of shifting back to last season with these Elise and Rek'Sai being the most prioritized jungle picks. But of course, Echo in the top side, Maokai available, you have to lock it in. He's the most picked champion right now in LCK Summer. That's going to give him his 10th pick, but Kalista comes in as well.
So a bit of a surprise because we don't have a Lucian ban or a pick so far in this game. But what this Kalista pick tells me, not only has it been Songyun's most played champion of spring, so we know that he's quite good on it, the big difference here for Afreeca is it allows them to pick hard engage. So they're trying to play around Samsung's ability to play a poke composition right now, which is what they showed when they didn't have the Victor or the Azir in that second game. They played against the Rocks Tigers. Now, odds are Samsung will just be pivoting towards a more team fight or pick composition in this case, and they are going to take the Graves, which is exciting because watching Ambition team fight on this Graves is an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's also going to be the Ashe coming in as the AD carry, and now you can see it's tempting with the Bard, but I don't think we're going to see that one locked in. Snowflowers are tempting with the Blitzcrank. The Bard, though, could be something that we see. Alistar as well. A little bit less priority since the nerfs to his ultimate. 50% is what he starts at with the damage reduction now, and everybody that I've talked to has said that it's extremely noticeable now in the early game. Diving is so much harder with that.
But he still offers everything in the late game still. When we talk about his ability to hard engage, that is a major factor for him. And it certainly would pair nicely, considering they've got many forms of hard crowd control to follow up Cocoon and the Twisted Advance. The Braum could be another answer, especially now that we see the Ashe, to make sure that that Ashe arrow is not going to find the right target. And Mickey may just be going straight back to a blind pick Twisted Fate.
He is, and Blitzcrank is also going to get locked in for Snowflower.
Wow. Well, Achilles, I did not expect that one. This is the first professional Blitzcrank that we have had in Korea since 2015. So this is going to be a massive difference.
Oh
but
my.
Afreeca, what did they do in their last games? They played pick compositions. We saw them go Sivir, Karma, these champions that can collapse very quickly, and couple it with a Boots of Mobility first Lee Sin. And they're just going hard again. Blitzcrank gets that speed boost off of the overdrive, and when we think about where Blitz could be on the map, look how many forms of single target CC are available for Afreeca. Twisted Advance, Cocoon, Gold Card. Anything is going to set up a really easy hook for Snowflower.
Yeah. And I mean, you could also just throw them in with a Fate's Call, get the knock-up, and as they try to run away, grip them right back in. There's so much.
Well, you get double knock-up, too, because you just Power Fist right after you get the first knock-up.
Exactly.
And this is, again, Afreeca. They played 2 games where they had strong pick compositions. They're going for it again. It will be a mid-lane Echo and a top Fiora. So Cuvée is going back to some of the Fiora play we saw from him last season. And their answer to this Afreeca composition is going to be trying to 1-3-1 split push right now. Mickey is hovering the Ignite at least for the moment. We'll see if he actually ends up changing that or not. But Samsung, they see this intense pick composition and they say, all right, if we can ward very well in this game, if we can know where they're trying to make these picks, we can just apply pressure cross-map. And that's going to be their goal. But they're going to have very good vision control to avoid a lot of these strong ganks that are going to be coming in from Afreeca.
Yeah. We were talking in the chat earlier before the games got started, and somebody had asked, do you think that we're going to see some new picks today? And I can tell you the answer is, in fact, yes. We have several new picks for you today. I mean, I don't know what I'm more excited for. We got a Blitzcrank here for Snowflower, but then we also have Mickey's Twisted Fate, which was just banned against him several times last split. I don't even know really what to focus on. Everything is just extremely exciting on both sides, especially Ambition back on Graves. This is going to be a good game.
It absolutely is. So looks like Samsung will be able to carve up the map a little bit with the 1-3-1 split push and try and win those duels versus Twisted Fate and Maokai with the Echo and the Fiora respectively. Snowflower's been very high up in solo queue recently, but he's only got 20 games on Blitzcrank, so it's not even something he was tipping his hand to coming into this match.
Well, he has confidence in the pick. We're going to see if it's going to be able to pay off for them. Didn't want to go for that Braum and get the Unbreakable. Just said, you know what, Ash, extremely immobile. I'm just going to go ahead, snatch her up, drag us straight into us, and we are going to rip them apart.
This is really exciting. I really love watching Blitzcrank as a champion in professional play. Is he very binary? Yes. Can he be absolutely awful if you fall behind?
Yes.
100%. But those games where we've seen players who are very famous at Blitzcrank like Mad Life go off, it's been an absolute joy. So I'm excited to see what Snowflower does with this, particularly when we're going for a pure pick composition. In Afreeca, they get 2-0 with pick comps, basically. They're just going to keep on rolling until somebody stops them.
Yeah.
Even though they have these players in Linderong and Sungwon that are just brand new to the professional scene. This shows a lot of confidence, especially in Mickey.
Yep, let's go ahead and get into the first game. All right, here we go. Onto the rift for game 1 between Afreeca Freecs and Samsung. They keep teasing us with these little bits of the intro. We had another extended piece of one at the start of the broadcast, and we keep seeing that one there with Bang. I just want the full video.
It's going to come.
Let me bask in its glory already.
We all want that, but it takes time, especially because SK Telecom wasn't here for a lot of those early shoots.
That's very true. They were too busy winning MSI.
Yeah, too busy winning absolutely everything.
Everything.
They have won, in fact, everything at this stage. There is no more winning that they can really do in League of Legends at this current point in time.
Well, Riot just has to create more tournaments.
That's right. They should just be allowed to region hop so they can take over, just win one season of each of the LCS regions, just go over to China for a little bit. Sounds good to me. SKT beats the world. Well, we may see a lane swap coming in right here, as they are going to invade.
Yeah, they weren't spotted by that ward in the river, so Cuvée and Ambition know exactly where Snowflower and Songyun are at.
Not to be seen. So we are going to have a Gromp start here from the likes of the Samsung duo lane, but Maokai is going to get some free farm here actually in the lane. This is one of the problems that you can encounter if you do start Gromp. They expected there wasn't going to be a lane swap. So Maokai is going to get a few CS right here, and he's actually going to delay in the process the actual push on the turret just by a little bit from occurring. So he does get 2 CS, so it's a nice, healthy little advantage right now. And he will be joining up now with Seongwon, and they are not punished for a very greedy weak side start coming in with taking the Krugs on that side of the map.
So what do you think was going on really with this this mid pick? Actually, wait, yeah, recalls are coming in already for Snowflower and Songyun. Looks like they're just going to go ahead and swap straight down to this bottom side.
Yep, and they're trying to keep the Fiora down. So now Kuve knows exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
He is going to lose a full wave of CS into that turret. Meanwhile, Maokai did, of course, pick up a couple right there, and they aren't going to lose very much CS at all on the side of Afreeca because the push would have been coming in right now. And instead, they're going to try and make plays. Nami is very vulnerable to Blitzcrank hooks, but they are going to be a little bit behind.
That entire bot lane is.
Yes.
I mean, you grab either Nami or Ashe, and they're probably going to die, or you're at least going to get a couple summoner spells out of them. Yeah. So we'll have to see how Snowflower can play this one. His Bard was excellent.
Yeah, I actually thought he deserved MVP of that game. I was a little miffed that he didn't
Oh,
get
it was Songyun that got it, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he did really well at not getting hit as Caitlyn.
I think his team did really well of you know, providing the opportunity to spiel for him. That's how I would put that statement.
Yeah.
So they have to be a little bit careful here. The gank pressure is absolutely immense, especially with Seongwon on this Elise. And we are going to see them exiting lane just a little bit early.
But both of our junglers meeting up top, though. It's just going to be a scuffle over rewards, so.
You don't want to fight that even matchup, though, with Fiora, Graves versus the Elise and the Maokai at this point in time. There's too much crowd control. 2v2 advantage definitely will be going over to them at this no-item juncture. Yep.
Oh, well, it's going to be the first grab of the night over onto Wraith, who's just going to take a little bit of damage as they look to trade out. The bubble not going to connect. They're going in straight in onto Songyun, who's getting exhausted. He flashes away, but the auto attack comes through, and Wraith will take him down. Snowflower going to try to answer, knocks up Ruler, flashes away, though. Now slowing him up with the Frost Arrow, and Snowflower, flashes it, but it doesn't even matter. Tries to go for the big play. But he lives in the end. So Ruler going to stick alive, and that's going to be both of the bot lane members of Afreeca going down. Meanwhile, Crown in the mid lane gets the shield.
Wow.
Will be enough. Mickey flashes forward, but he's nowhere nearby to land that gold card, and that's going to be a big lead over to Samsung already.
Crown got that shield from the parallel convergence at the last possible second right there. He nearly died. It looked like he was in the single-digit HP with that Ignite rolling, and Mickey just didn't commit fast enough. He thought the Ignite was going to get him before the parallel convergence did, so he does make a bit of a mistake. Not to mention that Afreeca fighting in the minion wave down there, quite sloppy, and they really didn't predict their limits well enough in that situation. Now they have to head back into lane. Songyun with boots and a dagger versus a BF sword. Let's take a look at this one again. And that grab is fine, but Ruler does a very good job of zoning him out so he can't get that damage onto Wraith. Ignite's going to go down at the same time the exhaust will. But Songyun overcommits and gets hit by Wraith right at the end.
Yep.
And then this is bold. Absolutely. If Snowflower had flashed right then, he probably could have gotten that kill.
Yeah.
Instead, he realizes later on he's going to die, has to dodge the bubble as it comes off of cooldown, but the volley is already there.
Yeah, really questionable. And they also had vision of the brush that
he could have flashed early.
I think, you should have just flashed straight onto him, get that auto attack, and then take it rather than try to go for the fancy juke play. See, though, Crown starting to lay down some good damage onto Mickey, but a gold card, and the Q will go ahead and equalize that.
Yeah, this lane, kind of a disaster now for Songyun. There still is a big tower dive threat, though, once TF and the Kalista hit 6.
Yeah.
So, especially with the Elise in the game, able to get a cocoon, walk in, tank, and then drop the aggro with the repel. There's still plays to be made on the bottom side of the map, and that's the luxury that Afreeca has in this game, is that ability to safely tower dive and open up the map even if they are behind. Last week, it should be mentioned that in game number 1, Mickey played that Fizz and had a really silly solo death on that champion as well. So his knowledge of all ins has looked shaky at best at the start of this season.
It's all right. I mean, we've seen that multiple times from him, Corky, just delivering the package straight into like 4 people in the enemy jungle. So it's just business as usual for Mickey. Though his fizz was still a little bit cleaner than Smeb's, we could say.
Well, yep, and neither of them had outstanding fizz games, to be clear. One extra factor that we haven't discussed about Cuvée coming in with this Fiora pick is with the QSS changes and you now are unable to cleanse off the Grand Challenge.
Yep.
There are going to be champions like Thresh and like Fiora that are going to see additional play because there's less counterplay to them with items. Someone is waiting here behind the turret.
No more Mercurial Scimitar Maokai.
I'm sad. That was enjoyable.
It's all of the sustain. Oh, arrow's going to go just a little too far south there. Mickey not going to get caught up.
Yeah, they throw it away right as they're going to recall as well, so they're trying just to maybe get something in the mid lane right there if they could actually pull it off. Looks like they're not actually going to recall quite yet, though, even though they did push that wave. Big caster minion wave has developed in this bottom side. They are playing more passively right now. Without that Ashe arrow up, there is a very real possibility that there could be a lane gank here from the Elise. So just playing as conservatively as possible, but they haven't really capitalized at all on this early item advantage that they got from the 2 kills. So Afreeca has effectively gone unpunished. Songyun's flash is nearly available again.
As is Mickey's.
Yep.
So not applying the pressure where it's quite necessary just yet. You see Ambition's just trying to farm up on that Graves as he does.
They also don't have to make any plays right now. Samsung's end goal here is to get that unstoppable Fiora and Echo split push going. So there's not really a reason for them to extra push their advantage. It's more a bonus that they got some of these early kills in an early gold lead because it's going to allow them to scale into a very good place. Mickey also with that Ignite is not going to have the same level of map presence as that Echo will, especially because he's going to need to go in a side lane, and that does limit his options when it comes to going fully cross-map with just his ultimate. So no TP means that he will actually probably have some troubles.
Now it's just going to be general trading. Crown's going to go in, uses the ultimate really aggressively, only gets a little bit of damage down. No stun going to come through from the parallel convergence, gets hit by the yellow card. And that's going to be it. So just wanted to throw out the ultimate. Maybe he thought that Ambition was going to be arriving a little bit sooner there and could have made a play, but not going to work out.
Yeah, Sungwon also going for a very early Boots of Swiftness right here. He seems to be cut from the same cloth as Lyra, who went for that Boots of Mobility first, and that could have been an absolute disaster if that arrow had hit and chained into a parallel convergence.
Yeah, that would have been pretty dirty. Just going to throw out the collateral damage, try to shove Mickey off this turret so they can get some good damage in. We can see Seongwon throwing out the Spiderling, going to try to get rid of some of these minions. He's actually going to come in, uses the repel, just drops into them, gets safely underneath the tower.
Yeah, seeing if they can get some free shots at the tower right there and keep this Twisted Fate under control as long as possible. But Sungwon making the right move, helping out. And we also did see the Maokai Linderong drop down from the top side of the map. They do have a lot of very good vision control with pink wards in the top side. So they are able to make some more aggressive plays, and considering they have the top pressure, just threatening the mid and making sure that that mid lane turret isn't going to be chipped out. Very, very good on the side of Afreeca.
Yep. You can see, though, neither of these teams really going to be prioritizing that dragon quite just yet. It is the Infernal Drake, so definitely one of the best ones that you could pick up for your squad. We've saw, I mean, just a couple days ago, we saw as early as about 4 minutes for the Drakes to go down, but this time we're going to be delaying. Maybe we'll see that after a potential dive in this bottom side, as Ruler and Wraith are quite surrounded.
Yeah, they don't have... There is a really good ward, actually, from Samsung there to see if Mickey is dropping down. They've got... Look at the 3 wards that they have right there. One at the Wraith camp, or Raptor camp, one in the choke point, and one in the river. So this is going to detect if Mickey is going any way at all, even from base, coming down by those Raptors in order to attempt to make a play onto the bottom side. So Samsung knows exactly what he wants to do right now. And Cuvée is holding his own up in this top side. He's getting a lot of free farm against this Maokai. So Samsung, it's just a game of patience for them. This Elise has been neutralized in the early game. The Blitzcrank is not doing anything. The TF is not getting any advantages. And Afreeca will be unable to stop this split push more than likely as long as there is acceptable vision control from Samsung late and they're not just getting caught out.
Yep, we can see the Ravenous Hydra there for Cuvée almost completed. Already has the Vampire Scepter and the Tiamat. So just a little bit more. And he will have that big power spike item for himself, and we'll see where he wants to take the build after that. Of course, Linderung just going for the chain vest to get the Sunfire cape, so a little bit more and he's going to have that. Actually, Mickey throws out the Q in the wrong direction. Crown gets a good amount of damage and pressure down onto this lane, and he should be able to push this wave in onto the tower and maybe get some more damage. Ambition's coming around the side.
And if he sees him, he may be able to get this. No, Mickey is going to just dodge out right there.
Yeah.
Make sure they don't get it. Sungwon, in the meantime, is doing a hard push on this bottom side.
Oh,
they're going to go in.
Comes through. That's going to be Snowflower popped up, though. Fate's Call comes through to drag him out. Turret almost goes down. That's going to be the TP completed here from Linderung. But here comes Crown and Kube from the backside. The fight's going to break out. Grand Challenge gets thrown down onto Snowflower, who is so close to falling. Ruler just pushing in, trying to slow up the members of Afreeca as best as he can so they can get a pick, but it's not going to happen.
But great counterplay there from Samsung. Yes, they had to blow 2 of their teleports to get that down, but they get the only teleport out of the Afreeca Freecs. They save their turret because they know Mickey was already in the process of recalling, and he was also delayed there by Ambition's pathing through the jungle. So Ambition, just everybody piling into that bottom side to save the turret, because that turret goes down and Ruler and Wraith have to start overextending, or even Crown if they decide to put the Ashe in the mid lane, which is more than likely what they would do for the wave clear. And it could have created a lot of overextension problems and allowed Afreeca to make more picks. So Samsung playing very well around the objectives right now, knowing what they have to commit to in order to keep this game on track for the late game. Don't go for the dragon. They don't need it right now. It's just about holding on as long as they can and remaining in that gold lead.
Yep. So, doing a good job, like you said. Both of those, all of the teleports now in the game going to be down. Linderung, though, looking for a gank onto Kube as Mickey has been joining him. A nice riposte to eat the yellow card, and he's just going to flash away and keep himself alive.
Yep, and Linderung couldn't get in range right there. Flash down on the Maokai after that skirmish in the bottom side. Kube still had his available, so not a very successful gank. Mickey didn't have to use his ultimate, had already popped that earlier on. So just a quick roam with his level 2 boots into that top lane. But still, Afreeca struggling to make this pick composition work. And Samsung, to their credit, is not allowing them to make any dives.
Yeah.
With Samsung, it's been about the vision control. So Mickey hasn't been able to use the Fog of War to his advantage to get anything done. And here we go.
Oh, wow. Genko going to Ambition, who gets found in his own jungle. And he is probably going to go down there. It is the red buff finishing him off after he flashes over the wall. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, though, they get a catch onto Songyun, and he just crumbles under the pressure. Yeah. So they fire back 1 for 1. So jungle for ADC.
Pretty big miscommunication there. Snowflower had his eyes on the top side of the jungle and was trying to make a play there and get there as fast as he could. And instead, he just allowed Songyun to fall behind and get picked off. And now the pressure is turning on this turret right now. In the bottom side, we do see the Twisted Fate going for the Lichbane first build, so he is intending to split push at some point in time. Crown actually has the Rod of Ages, which is what we might expect, and he's just trying to scale too. Great arrow.
Yeah, right as he got out of range of the Fate's Call as well.
Really good chain CC. Tidal Wave directly into bubble. Nothing he could do in that situation.
And that's what Samsung displayed for us the first time that we saw these guys play against the Rocks Tigers. The chain CCs was just on point in both games, and they're just showing that, you know what, we've been putting in some work during this off-season rather.
Yeah, they have, and they're doing a great job of playing to their win conditions right now. Afreeca hasn't had any kind of opening. Samsung still controlling the river. Ambition does die in the most Ambition way possible, which is to get caught out in the river.
Well, still just needs to go back in the jungle, farm up some more, because that's what Ambition loves doing, and hit that point where he can put all of his enemies in the Ambition submission position.
I love the Ambition submission position. It's my favorite. But he is
he loves it too.
Absolutely amazing at dealing damage and maximizing, basically just squeezing every ounce out of his abilities during these team fights. And that's what has been so impressive about his Graves. So they tried to hit the jungle pool hard in the pick ban, even going so far as first picking the Elise, but I don't know if that's a great strategy considering that you do leave Ambition on arguably his best champion of last season. And have things changed in the jungle? Sure, but his proficiency at that was remarkable in the spring.
There's a really good ward there, placed by Samsung, just on the other side of the wall above the turret. It just expired, but it spotted Seongwon coming in for that lane gank. So that just sent Ruler and Wraith backing off out of respect. The tower goes down, but they stay alive. Ambition trying to create a pick in the mid.
Oh, Ambition.
He's got the gold cards, and here comes Linderong and Ambition. This time he's just going to get caught out in the mid lane. Tries to use the collateral damage to make some distance between himself and Mickey, but it doesn't even matter. He goes down. That's a kill for the Twisted Fate. And off that pick, no smite available, obviously. They say, you know what, let's go ahead and pick up our first Dragon of the game in 18 minutes. Turtle Drake goes over to the Afreecs.
And that's just such a huge communication error from Samsung right there. This Maokai, Linderong, has been fading down into the mid lane on multiple occasions when he has that wave pushed up this game, and they knew that. Yep. And yet they still are playing aggressively on that top side of the map where they didn't have any vision.
Oh, well, Crown's going to come in, look for the parallel convergence, but not going to happen. Just trying to zone them off the tower before it goes down. One more push there by Afreeca, and they'll be able to take this one. And they're going to lose the top tier 1 as well. So almost all of the tier 1 tower is going down on the side of Samsung, and that's creating a very slight gold lead here for the Freaks.
Yeah, Cuvée hasn't been able to control the wave in spite of getting that Tiamat fairly quickly.
Oh,
it
wow.
hasn't been working, and
Look
Snowflower
at this
in
damage
trouble.
on the Snowflower. He's not going to get stunned up, but I don't think he's going to make it out of here alive. Nope, it's going to be the passive proc coming through on the Z-Drive Resonance as Crown finds the kill. Ruler as well, finishing off Mickey. And that was a forced teleport by Linderong up in that top side. Has to cancel it.
Yeah,
because he does not want to end up in the thick of 3 people.
No, that bubble was already coming in. So now Samsung is going to try and take this opportunity to take the mid tower, which is so crucial to this Twisted Fate.
Oh, wow. Crown just diving onto Songyu, and he's completely going to be able to get this kill. Is at least going to evade death. Uses the ultimate to snap back and stop taking those tower shots. So cannot finish off the Kalista, but he got both summoners.
Yeah, Songyun also didn't have to flash right there. He was already out of range of the chrono break. So he was right on the edge of it, but it looked like he was not going to have to use that flash after all. Still decided to commit to it just so he wouldn't die.
Yeah.
And one thing we can say about Crown this season is that he's just been going off in these 3 games. And we saw so much of that in the last season too. Just he kept getting better and better and better as the season went on. He drew 2 bans in this game, and we haven't really seen him play a lot of Echo, but here he is showing up today and really knowing his limits, making sure that he can get some of these solo kills, that he knows when and how he can dive, and it's looking really good.
Yeah, and it's just awesome to see that he's showing a different play style of champion here, whereas before we saw the Victor and the Varus for his game so far this split, very poke heavy. Echo, sure, you do have that Q that you throw at the Time Winder, and that's fairly pokey, but you need to get up in the face of your enemies if you want to take them down, and Crown is showing that he is not afraid to do so.
Yeah, first game ever on Echo for Crown, and he is looking strong, moving towards the Lichbane himself. Mickey has been heavily delayed. He will be building that Zhonya's Hourglass so that he can gauge and make picks a little bit more aggressively. I really like Mickey's build for this situation, but it is going to be very hard to execute for Afreeca given the kind of position that they are in currently. Cuvée just playing conservatively. He knows it's just a waiting game. Be patient. You have better wave clear now that the Hydra is actually complete. You're moving towards the Black Cleaver where you start to be able to really shred Linderong. And it's just about getting to 30, 35 minutes. And considering that in spite of being down a tower, that Samsung is still in a gold lead, they couldn't have asked for much more.
Yeah. Everything coming out really well for these guys. And I kind of want to know, of course, we really can't unless we had an interview with them. Actually, I'm going to hold that thought as Mickey goes in for a really aggressive play onto Ambition. The bubble not going to connect, and Wraith gets locked up by the Cocoon. But here comes Cuvée from the backside, throws down that challenge there onto Songyun, but he's not going to be able to complete it. So
yeah, they did use 2 TPs for that, Samsung, so not the best use of teleport. Mickey was fast to pull the trigger on the gate to make sure that he got there in time, but they just didn't have a good angle for engage. And also with these 2 TPs, Samsung doesn't really present basically any flank threat. Fiora flanking, you're not so worried about that.
Yeah.
Echo flanking, you're not so worried about that either. It does take a couple of seconds for his parallel convergence to set up before he can go in and provide that CC, and that's not exactly how you play mid lane Echo anyway. You're not really, the crowd control is great if you can get it, but it's more about dealing the damage. So flanking with him, because he's going to be a lot squishier, is problematic because he will have to either ult or explode basically nearly instantly. So there's not, I think Samsung is misplaying these engages. They need to make sure that they hit with either the tidal wave or the Ash Arrow first, and that's when they can really commit to
then follow up on top of it. Well, so far not able to do that, but still stretching ahead in the lead. Have equalized the tower count, of course, and they find themselves about 2K up so far, but they still are lacking that dragon.
Yeah, Songyun too has itemized for a QSS second, which is somewhat understandable considering that he did die to some of that chain CC from Arrow into Tidal Wave into Bubble. But at the same time, the ideal goal, like Afreeca right now...
Does he land the hook?
He's looking for it. The ideal goal for Afreeca right now is that they need some form of mid-wave clear because they want to open Mickey up to actually make ganks on the map. And as long as you don't have that Runaan's Hurricane, you're just not going to have that same pressure either in the mid or the bot lane wherever you put the Kalista.
Yeah, we could see Ruler as well, though. Just sitting with that QSS as his Zeal, and that'll more than likely be going to his Hurricane as well, so he can just keep spreading those Frost Arrows amongst the Afreeca Freecs and keep them all locked up so that Cuvée can just dive and dash around them and get all of those weaknesses.
Yeah, I like the double Merc Treads too on Cuvée and Ambition.
Oh, big play coming up in the top side as Cuvée gets locked up. The gold card comes through. That's going to be the Ignite, and I don't think there's really much that this Fiora can do. Flashes away. The last tick of an Ignite, not going to kill him. Dashes back over the wall. Mickey does not have the range, and Cuvée is miraculously going to get out. That was really well played by him.
It was really well played, and you could see Mickey holding the gold card for a very long time right there to try and defend against the riposte.
Yep.
Ended up getting it through, and then they followed up immediately with the Twisted Advance, but just not enough damage right now to quite take down Cuvée. And I just said it, the Merc Treads. Absolutely the reason he lived right there. These are very good pickups by Ambition and Cuvée.
Well, the Crown's looking for some more as he goes in onto Mickey, but Snowflower is arriving, and that's going to be enough to stave him off. So they're going to go ahead and peel back and put some pressure down on this tower. Actually, they're just going to take it. I forgot how low it was since the last time that they visited, so they're going to go ahead and knock that down, and now we just have a couple hundred separating these teams.
Yeah. And Merc Treads are, to go back to the Merc Treads, these are by far the strongest boots you could get against this kind of stun-heavy single-target damage team that Afreeca is rolling with right now. And especially because the magic resist is honestly not critical, but there are 4 AP champions in this game on Afreeca.
Yeah.
And as a composition, they are going to be very low damage in the late game. It's all about picks. They're not really going to be able to fight a 5v5, even though we wouldn't think of, say, Fiora as a great team fighting champion in the late game. Still going to offer a lot more, I think, total damage in a team fight than we're going to see from Elise and Twisted Fate, especially with that Echo in there too. And Cuvée strikes back with a turret of his own.
Yep, takes that one down on the top side. The Freaks did pick up that Air Drake for themselves.
Which the Cloud Drake isn't good. It's not a good,
there you go.
Yeah, it's not a good buff right now. But if you had to ask me, what is the one composition that Air Drake isn't absolutely terrible with? It's going to be a pick comp because you need to be able to run people down and make sure that you can actually finish off some of these kills. So the movement speed is actually pretty nice for them.
Yep. See blue buff can take it away. The Cocoon lands here from Seongwon, and that's going to be the hook as well. Tidal Wave gets thrown out. Ambition uses the collateral damage to create some distance, and he will be able to make it out.
Kilios, that's why people don't play Blitzcrank.
Yeah.
He's great when you're ahead. That's the kind of stuff that happens if the enemy starts to get a gold lead on you, if they start to get a lot more items, you hook somebody in, they just don't die. Or alternatively, they want to get hooked in. And if you hook Ambition in, he's just going to unload a bunch of spells in your face, and he will be very tanky once he uses that quick draw. Yeah. It's not exactly an ideal situation.
It has the Hex Drinker now as well, so it just makes it that much more difficult for this triple AP comp to finish him off.
Yeah, it's also just so predictable what he's going to do, right? You know, it's very easy to play around the hook cooldown, and once you see the hook go out, then you can start sieging. There's not really any kind of threat from him any longer.
Yeah.
Just we're going to run around in circles really fast.
He's going to flash E.
Yeah, that's not all you got at that point in time. It's not great. He's he's pretty useless once that hook cooldown goes down. So good players and playing at this level of competition, very difficult. Is they're looking for a pick right there. They're basically desperation, party pushing.
Oh, it's not going to connect.
Ambition was on the right side for that, staying well away from the brushes where he knew there was a threat. And top-level players don't have a very hard time playing round blitz.
I just like that they can't actually sit in the pit and try to go for a pick over the wall because his passive just aggroes Baron and they start taking free damage.
Yep.
So
it's another problem with Blitzcrank. The nice thing is maybe we'll see that super stylish grab into Fate's Call combo so you can get people from a couple thousand units away.
Yeah, the Blitz, what did they... I can't even remember what they called it. Oh, the Ballista.
Yes, the Ballista.
There we go, the Ballista. Yeah, that was
even though ballistas
good.
shoot giant arrows and don't pull things towards you, that's not something that people were really designing as siege weaponry during medieval times. They didn't have any device, to my knowledge, that would just yank guys off the ramparts of castles.
If Kalista wasn't just like a I want to stack up red type champion, it could be the crits crank, but it's not. Wraith though getting caught by that gold card. Tidal Wave comes out, knocks up Mickey, has to use the Zonia as Kuve has arrived. Mickey just trying to run out. Fate's Call goes through, knocks up 2 members. Crown and Ambition going low, but Kuve is just going to go ahead and throw down the Grand Challenge. But he looks like he might get finished off, has to dash away. But that's going to be Songyun chasing with the Kalista, and he's able to find the kill. Ruler as well getting locked down by Soan. They find that kill. So far, it's going to be a 3-for-0 in favor of the Freaks. They're looking for more. Ambition, he's going to fall as well, and it's only Crown able to make it out alive, but the Freaks just a little bit too low to even try to go for this Baron, so they're just going to have to back off.
And there's no point in fighting that fight if you're Samsung right now. You just don't want to commit yet. Cube is going full damage. I thought he would start building tanky after he went for the Black Cleaver, but now he's going for a BF sword. And you're fighting right now exactly the way Afreeca wants to fight, in these little skirmishes. Cube is there, but Songyun already coming through. Hook is going to miss, but they bounce him right into Cube, or right into, I guess, Crown and Ambition right there. So a lot of the damage already taken out of this fight. Grand Challenge goes down, but Cube can't actually proc it at any point in time because he is locked up by all of that crowd control. Crown here tries to go back in, parallel convergence after getting down with the Zonias, has to flash over the wall, and Ambition just gets so greedy right here. Also, he could have killed Mickey. He did have an extra shot left in his shotgun. He wasn't reloading at the time.
Yeah, should have just cut your losses. Knew that, accepted that you were going to die, and just going for the kill. See Crown splitting in the bot side. TP is available, but the Baron's been started up, and of course, Songyun is a Kalista, has those Ren stacks coming through. It's going to be the TP here now from the Echo. Throws out the parallel convergence. It's going to be a big turnaround here for Samsung. Linderon going to be the one getting targeted, but here comes Mickey. Gold card drawn. It's going to connect right onto Crown, locks him up at the front side. Kube still hot on the chase, finishing off people, and Mickey is just going to try to sprint his way up toward this top side, but he doesn't have many places to go. And Ambition actually misses the Q, so Mickey's just going to keep running around, and Ambition's not going to help his team with the Baron.
Wow, this game, Achilles. So they knew that Crown still had his teleport up, and they tried to 4v5 the Baron where Mickey was not in range to actually teleport. And now he's just going to provide a sacrifice to the Blood Gods, the mid lane turret, because he has nowhere else to go.
They accept.
They do accept. This game has been all kinds of sloppy, Achilles. I don't understand why Samsung is taking so many early risks here. They do hit Snowflower with the arrow right away, and they full combo with the Graves onto him. And Songyun does pick up the Blitzcrank and try and hurl him back in, but they're just taking so much Baron damage right now. And Mickey all of a sudden shows up while his team is already losing the fight to the massive amounts of AoE that Samsung is throwing at them, and Cube simply waits for the Spider to come down.
Yep. And that's the Baron picked up there for Samsung. A pretty clear-cut gold lead, as well as their first dragon. It will be the Mountain Drake. So getting that increased damage to structures. So it's going to be quite nice for these guys. They can just continue forward. Now they have increased structure damage and Baron-empowered minions. That should make pushing very, very easy.
Man, Afreeca got gifted that fight, and they had to go back because they were low, but push out the waves at that point. Just set up vision and wait for more picks so that you can actually do an objective right there.
Yep.
Don't fight when Samsung has plenty of time to get back from base to that Baron, and they still have the TP available. And especially don't fight if you know that and your Twisted Fate isn't there to help burn down that Baron very quickly. Just a really bad Baron from Afreeca.
Yep, you can see that's going to cost them the tier 2 in the bottom side. Snowflower looking for a grab, but he was off by quite a bit in this Blitzcrank. They're probably hating themselves a little bit for going for this one because it's not worked out well at all.
No. There's not.
That's
the thing about Blitzcrank, though. It either looks great or it looks terrible. There's no in between. If you have vision control and you can play around wards and you can stand in a pink ward and hook people over, you look like a god. But if you start to lose the game, the enemy support and jungle start to invade you, and they know exactly where you are, exactly when you've used your hook, then it's just too easy to play against.
Yeah, they're making him look like a fool right now. And I mean, he teased the Bard and the Braum, both of which would have been pretty good. Could have locked up people with the Bard ultimate. Braum blocking the arrows, the Q from the Echo, like the volleys. There's so much stuff that you can deny. Collateral damage as well.
And realistically, both Bard and Braum are also good in pick compositions. You have the Braum passive to slow down. You can throw him in to create a pick with the Callista, Fate's Call, and then you get the
concussive blows and everything.
Yeah, concussive blows. You get the ultimate coming in from the Braum too after you start to engage somebody. Bard has that long-range pick potential where you can throw out that Tempered Fate and give Twisted Fate time to port in. So there are lots of options, and now they have to deal with this, which is a huge split push from Samsung that is incredibly hard to deal with for the likes of the Afreeca Freecs right now.
Yeah, Snowflower's still looking for a grab, but he just
there's
can't get him.
There's like, that threat down.
We'll see you in 8 seconds. And they can just continue this push as the minion wave gets ready to come in. Kuve is still just keeping Linderong busy up in that top side, whittling down the tower. You can see he's got so much sustain from that. He's got another Vampiric Scepter on top of his Ravenous Hydra, and that's going to be Samsung pushing the go button in the mid side. They already take out Snowflower. Mickey trying to get out of here, but he's not going to be able to. Ambition goes for it and finishes him off, and he's going to go straight in underneath the tower with the help of Crown and take out Songyun. So on, going down the backside, it's just Linderong, the only one alive. Use the TP and can't find anything, and now this could just be the end of the game right here.
Absolutely, Achilles. And the CC underneath that turret was beautiful. The parallel convergence, they start to cast that, and then the arrow comes in. They finish off with the parallel convergence underneath the turret. It gives time for the travel time to get there. They set it up, and they make it look so easy. Samsung with another great CC chain, and as a result, they're just going to win this game.
Yep. They finish off Linderong right in the end, giving him his second death, but at 35 minutes, Samsung taking game 1 over the Afreeca Freecs.
I think Samsung had a really good read on what Afreeca was trying to do right there. The problem playing around that first Baron aside, where they did lose far too many people sort of filtering in one by one, they looked decisive in the other phases of the game. They looked like they knew by the end that they had a very strong advantage. And right here, we're going to take a look at some of the damage. The Echo and the Ashe topping the charts.
Yep, Ruler doing a really good job with that Ashe, just constantly hammering in damage. I mean, Crown as well with this Echo. He put down so much pressure in the side lanes early on in that game. Expanding his champion pool, it seems. Now pulling that one out, and we'll have to see what he's going to bring into this next game. Maybe he can get his hands on something like the Victor or the Varus. Decided not to go for the latter this time, but it's good to see that he can adapt to other playstyle champions.
Absolutely, and Afreeca went for an all-in playstyle where they needed to get things rolling in the early game. They gave up some really silly kills in the mid and bot lane, which set them behind, and that there's not really a way you can recover with that aggressive of a pick composition, especially one that includes Blitzcrank. Team fighting in the mid and late game is going to be extraordinarily difficult. And not only that, Samsung drafted a team composition that would win in the 5v5 under most circumstances, even though, remember, they were an Infernal Drake down. So they didn't have the 8% damage buff.
Yeah.
And Afreeca did. They were still losing those 5v5s. And we don't even think of Fiora and Echo being the best at engaging these team fights. So they had two ways that they were going to beat them, either in a 1-3-1 or in a team fight. And that shows that Afreeca took a big chance on their draft.
Yeah, and I mean, it was just sloppy play overall for the most part. Samsung in that last fight underneath the Tier 2 tower in mid was pretty clean.
That was great.
Everything prior to that was pretty sloppy. But we're going to go to a break, guys. When we come back, we'll have Game 2, Afreeca Freecs now down on underneath of Samsung. Or the Cranecasters are still talking, and we're just going to sit here, but we're going to get ready to go to a break.
The music